is Priya, and I'd actually like to begin my speech with a story. So I have a friend, he's a college student, just like any of us. He comes to class full-time, does his work, but just like the rest of us too, he has a part-time job. And at this job, it's actually the Dunkin' Donuts right around the corner. And he usually ends up working the night shift there. And if you've ever been to Dunkin' Donuts at night, you know no one goes to Dunkin' Donuts at night. It's completely empty. No one goes there. But every night at 10 o'clock, that's when the store has to close down for the day. And part of the cleaning up ritual, I guess, is just to wipe down the counters, take out the coffee grinds. But the part that he dreads the most is what he does with the leftover food. So every night there's 5 full trays of these delicious donuts just sitting in the back shelf. But sometimes he's able to take it home, but sometimes he can't. I mean, how many donuts can you take home? So he collects all the donuts, he puts it all in a bag and dumps it right into the dumpster in the back alley. Now, at the same time, of course, there's going to be a random homeless guy just sitting in the alley watching as these donuts are being pitched into the dumpster while he's sitting there hungry. Now, that last part might be an over-exaggeration, but it still happens all across the nation. And imagine this same scenario happening at every single Dunkin' Donuts all over the country, let alone every single restaurant. Now, unfortunately, the way we dispose of our food is just a fact of our society. And it doesn't really seem fair, you know. So with that being said, that was just a story of how food waste is such a prevalent problem. So with that, I want to discuss more detail what the problem is, my plan of action, and how the benefits will outweigh the costs. So first of all, UNICEF.org reports that 800 million people worldwide are malnourished, while the Food and Agricultural Organization estimates that 1.3 billion tons of food is wasted. The UN Youth Service claims that 28% of agricultural area is used to produce wasted food, which includes $750 billion just literally being thrown away. Now, with that being said, there's obviously social, economic, and environmental issues. And of course, Americans, we actually are the biggest culprit of it because 40% of our food is being trashed, and that's according to the NRDC. So why is it that we're so careless about it? Like, how come we are just throwing food away if 800 million people are starving and 40% of our food is being in the trash? Well, the thing is that food is cheap and it's available here, so we don't really seem to care. Like, if you paid for something, you can easily put it in the trash. Like, what does it matter? But we are just a very small problem, and it's obviously a global problem, so we as the next generation of consumers can do something about it. And if we are ready for this cultural shift and how we see some of life's basic necessities, here is my plan. So my plan, it consists of 2 parts, and it starts right here at UMBC. My first plan is a UMBC food bank, and this will largely focus on the resident dorm rooms and the apartments. Any extra food that students have but don't want can be placed in the food bank to share with others. And once a week, the RAs can make rounds on the floor to make collections, and of course the guidelines will have to be set in terms of what can be shared and what can't. Now this idea isn't really a novelty because there are other campuses all across the nation that have this idea already going. USA Today actually did a feature article on Michigan State and West Virginia, and they have some of the largest campus food banks in the United States. Now their whole angle is to help those that are less fortunate, but it works both ways in terms of reducing the amount of food that's wasted. My second plan is the UMBC Community Garden. Now I'm sure you guys have seen advertisements all over my UMBC about this idea, and because it just won the Prove It competition through the SGA. Their goal is to enhance sustainability, but it can also be used as a place for vegetable compost. And the vegetables that are grown in the garden can then be used in our school cafeteria and even other eateries all across campus. So even though these 2 ideas might seem relatively small, they do have really big implications in terms of reducing the amount that is wasted. The UMBC Food Bank will cut down on the amount wasted if sharing is promoted in dorm communities. Oftentimes, we buy a variety of foods in bulk. Now I know all of you guys know the magic of Costco. We walk in, buy everything that we can because there's so much to pick. But after a while, we get sick of eating the same granola bars or the same fruit snacks every single day. So they just end up sitting in our room until it's time to throw them out because they're expired the next time we check it. So with the food bank, this won't go to waste, but instead it'll be shared with others. It'll also allow a variety of options and cut down on the money spent on random snacking that we would have at our local outtakes. And we all know that it's expensive too to snack on the food here, so why not just share what we already have? The next part of my plan was the community garden, and the benefits of this is that it's already an up-and-coming idea. Any unwanted or inedible fruits and veggies can be used as compost to feed nutrients to the garden. This cuts down on garbage waste that would otherwise be diverted to landfills, and it will reduce the amount of methane gas by 30% according to the EPA. This also promotes the growth of healthy crops right here on campus, and it'll cut down the cost that school spends on produce. Now I know I've been talking about cost a lot, so what is the actual cost of both of these plans? Well, with the food bank, the only cost will be time. It will only take time out of the RA's day to make rounds once a week and to organize everything in the designated area. Other than that, there won't be any cost financially because these are foods that would have already been bought anyway. So instead of trashing it, it'll go to a central place to share it. The community garden actually just won a $10,000 grant from the SGA for development of this idea. Composting food is already a practice that we have here, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue to carry on. Perhaps there will be costs for labor and for maintenance of the garden, but these costs will be worth it considering the amount we probably waste on fruits and vegetables anyway. So in conclusion, food waste is a major societal issue that we largely seem to ignore. As mentioned before, it isn't on the minds of many Americans because it really isn't an immediate issue affecting us as individuals. However, the long-term issues with global society, the environment, and even the economy are at stake. It is our moral obligation to the world we live in and to protect the land and our fellow people. And the best part is, it can start with each of us taking the initiative today to promote a